Hey everybody, it's Savage Lands News coming in this time with Olli, who you probably saw make it all the way to top 8 on Rhinar in a meta that everybody doubted us on. He is an absolute savage and is one of the few players now to have Rhinar top 8 calling under their name. Let's give him a round of applause, everybody. So Ollie, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
actually I'm really fine. Yeah, yeah. It's been an awesome time. It was a crazy weekend, and I everything went better than I expected. So I'm really happy.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
maybe okay is little lame, but in Finland we are aren't always showing our emotions. So so
I was gonna make that joke. So
yeah, yeah.
those of you at home who didn't catch that, he's from Finland, and that's how doing really fine is doing really well. He's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
great. He's doing really fine. I like that. I love that answer a lot.
Mm.
All right. You just spiked the calling, right? Making it all the way to top 8. We're going to go over your wins and your losses later. It was actually really impressive. But before we get into your deck and your matchups and all of that kind of stuff, let's start off with like who you are, right? So obviously you're out of Finland, but how long have you been playing trading card games? And how long have you been playing Flesh and Blood in particular?
Trading card games I have been playing since Pokemon basically came
Oh,
out,
wow.
but I pretty quickly switched to Magic the Gathering, and that's the game that I have been playing like 20 years.
Wow.
But I wasn't playing competitively first, but maybe 10 years also in the competitive scene in Magic the Gathering, and Flesh and Blood, I started. I was playing in the last nationals. It was basically my first event. I didn't do that well. I didn't even know the rules that well. At
Okay.
that point, my friend borrowed me dash deck, and I played boost hybrid dash, and then I got excited with the game, and I bought the dash cards for
Yeah.
um, own cards, and then I played also dash after that. But then it's a great deck to begin with, but the
Yeah.
problem is that it's not easy to switch from dash to another hero because all the cards are just working with
Yeah.
dash. So then I just had to start getting other cards, and I started to learn different heroes. Basically, I was doing quite okay when I started playing, but there was always something that I didn't know the opposing hero is doing, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so so you have to kind of learn your lessons at the beginning and I thought that maybe if I try different heroes myself, then it's maybe easier to understand their my opponent's thinking process and what each
Yeah.
hero is trying to achieve and so on. So I've been playing it this year. Every month we have one bliss armory, so I have played a different hero in each of them. And
Okay.
2 months ago I played Rhinar in
Mm.
bliss, and then it was actually my first CC armory. It was your video. I was playing the list you made, the glove list. So
Cool.
I had those sigils and stuff like that, and that's my starting point to play CC in
Yeah.
Rhinar. So I played two armories, went trio both, and then uh, I wasn't too happy with the dash for the current meta because I have had struggled against Azalea, and then
Yeah.
at the time people thought that Azalea is going to be a big thing. Maybe Lexi wasn't already there in the big numbers, and
Yeah.
I thought that it will be really bad to play dash if all the players are playing Azalea. So I had to find out a different hero to come with. I first tried uh, Katsu, and then that also this Rhinar was the second hero, which I was thinking between those two. I also a little bit was thinking about Romai, but then I thought that maybe I don't have enough time to practice for the
Yeah.
Swiss games because
Yeah.
I would hate the feeling that I lose only because I play too slow, and that's why I cannot do it. So so Rainer and it didn't feel that bad in the meta. Of course, the Lexi matchup was bad, but I tried to find something there, and then there wasn't that many aggro decks around. I think there was less aggro decks than the previous meta, so there wasn't that much Fi and decks like that, which are usually a little bit hard for Rhinar. So I thought that it's Rhinar is maybe in a it's a better spot than people are thinking if you find the right way to kind of do it. And also there is a big benefit that if people are not expecting you to play the deck you are playing, they probably don't have sideboard cards against you. They don't know how the matchup goes against you. So basically, you know what you are doing in the game, and they have to little bit guess what's going on.
Yeah.
Especially in the Swiss, because we don't have the open deck list there.
Oh yeah. So you kind of picked Rhinar because it seemed like the right like meta call at the time, right? So Azalea was keeping you out off of Dash. She just wasn't letting you play the game. And then you were kind of thinking between Katsu and Rhinar, between your final two choices, kind of.
Yes.
What made you to like? What was the final reason you made the decision to pick Rhinar over Katsu?
Basically, Katsu is also really good against Dromai, but when I had games against Oldhim and Dromai, the testing games, and when I realized that in the meta, those are gonna be also the big decks, so I wasn't sure. I was hoping that there will be even more Dromai than Lexi in the Antwerpen, which wasn't true, but there was still more Oldhim and Dromai combined than Lexi.
Yeah.
And so I was basically trying to win the decks that win Lexi. So if they win Lexis in the day one, I can win them on day two or something like that.
Yeah. That's actually, I mean, that's how I've always looked at Rhinar, right? Like I have a I don't know, like a saying or whatever, but basically when you bring Rhinar to an event, you can't lose your first game. Like you just have to get that Gem has to be really nice to you on your first game, because once you get up to those top tables, you eat all the decks that are preying on all of the aggro decks. Right, you're beating the Oldhims, you're beating the Bravos, you're beating the Drillmais, you're beating all of those. But if you lose your first game, you go down into the aggro pool and then you drown. Yeah, I agree. I like your strategy. That's exactly what I was thinking too, right? Just beat Oldhim, beat Dromai, try and dodge Lexi, right?
Yeah, and maybe try to outplay your mid-range opponents. Those games are always close. Those are not. You have to play well and you have to do right things. Those are not free games. I had really close Bravo game, really close usury game in the Swiss. So you still have those are still close, and you need to stay focused. But I would say that those are better for Rhinar than the opposing hero. So most of the mid-range matchups I like to play as a Rhinar.
Yeah, Azeri is actually deceptively challenging to beat, right?
Yes,
Azeri is a strong deck.
Yeah, that was the main reason that I have. If you don't count Reckless Wing, I have 6 defense reactions. So I try to set up the game in a way that I have one in my arsenal, so I can kind of. There is a couple of really bad on hits, but you can take some of them. But some are those that you don't want to take.
Yeah. If they manage to get rid of your blood rushes, it's a hard day.
yeah, for sure.
All right. Yes. So now that you've hit top 8 in the calling, right? You got your first ever gold foil, which is we're going to talk about. It's pretty awesome. What's your next like goal as a competitive player?
The worlds will be in Europe, so I'm not sure about the actual when the tournament will be, but I hope that I will have time to participate there and try to do my best there. Of course, there is a lot of going on. There is new releases, and Oldhim is going to retire and stuff like that. So I need to take another look how the meta is looking there. Maybe I'll find another own way of thinking the meta with Rhinar or brute heroes in general, or then maybe I'll find some other hero that I will then try. So I like to I enjoy playing Rhinar, I enjoy playing brute, but I kind of I I'm a competitive player, so I try to find the best deck for the current
Yeah,
event there. So
I can't blame you.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. With Oldhim leaving, a big part of the reason I enjoyed playing Rhinar is leaving also. I liked
yeah, yeah.
I liked being the one deck that like looked at Oldhim and won, you know? Uh yeah. And the aggro decks seem to be coming back out. I don't know if it's happening over there too, but Ninja is really popular again. Viserai seems to have come back. Briar's come back. So a lot of aggro decks are popping up in my area now.
I was actually traveling with the Finnish national champion Mikko, and he was playing Viserai. And
Yep.
maybe I got lucky, but in our testing games we went 3-3
Oh, not
Rhinar
bad.
against Viserai, so that wasn't
Not bad.
that bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
aggro.
but,
Yeah. We'll see. Meta
but
meta or Oldhim leaving the format is gonna do a lot, right? Like he's keeping a lot of decks out. So it'll be really
yes, yes,
interesting.
yes, for sure.
Okay. So before we jump into your deck tech, because I reviewed your list ahead of time and I love the ideas going on. It's kind of going back into the Switch days. Um, do you wanna tell everybody what gold foil you got? Because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I actually have it right
Oh, let's
next to
go.
me, so I can show it to the camera. So
Yeah.
here, and when I was opening it, I didn't have an idea what cards are even in these
Yeah.
packs.
Yeah.
So I was really excited, and the foil I got was Carrion Husk, which is
Oof.
crazy.
That's such a
Yeah,
cool one.
yeah. And
Especially
I
in
have
time for Vincent.
yeah.
This
Yeah, the
is
shadow heroes are coming back.
pretty good timing. I'm gonna be jealous. That's pretty cool. I like it. Of all of them to
I
get.
also have I also have some Berserk Levia builds which I have tried. So I actually have played with Carrion Husk, and it's one big thing with Levia that you can kind of take the pivot turn to block with the husk and then start smashing, because you need to hit when you got the blood rush numbers. You cannot just block. But I haven't thought about that deck since it was like start of this year when I was playing. I played two armories. I went both trio, but then I moved to Rhinar with my brute testings.
Yeah, Reinhardt's a little safer. You can block and not die. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah, and the intimidate is really strong mechanic against heroes that want to
yeah,
block. So
yeah. Intimidate is also really good. Yeah,
yes.
I agree. Okay, so what do you think? Like, what's your opinion on the competitive state of Flesh and Blood right now? Do you think it's in a good spot? Do you think the cadence is too fast, too slow? Do you think some of the heroes are a little too powerful? Like, or do you think it's actually in like a really nice, tight spot? Uh, now that you've played in this like huge event, right?
I think it's the same thing as in Magic. So there is a lot of net decking going on. So
Yeah,
once there is a one big event, people think that that's the only truth what you should play, and that's how the meta is little bit. There is some corners that people haven't checked, and they just accepted meta as it is. So I think there is still a lot to explore
mhm.
in this game, and of course the meta is changing all the time, and but I wouldn't give up with any hero. There can
Yeah,
be a spot for your favorite hero to hit the meta
yeah,
from the right corner.
yeah.
Yes.
I think really understanding your hero in this game, it does have an edge over the people who just picked up the hero because somebody said it was better, right? Um,
Yeah, and same thing with deck lists. If you kind of think every card, what do you want them to do, where do you use them, how do you use them, how do you set up them, because
Yeah.
Arsenal gives you the chance to set up those better turns. So if you know what you are trying to do with your cards, it, I think you will your games will go better. If you just copy a list and there is you don't even sometimes you don't even understand why a specific blue or something is in the list,
Yeah.
then it's maybe hard to get the full benefit out of that card.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agreed. Yeah. All right. So you want to jump into your list right now?
Yeah, we can go. Yes, sure.
Let's do it. Okay, so we have his list in front of us, and before we jump into your list, because it's actually a really cool list, I like it a lot. Do you want to run us through your matchups for that day? What decks you ran into, the order you ran into them, and then obviously which ones ultimately knocked you out.
Okay. So on first round I played against Bravo,
Hmm.
and it was the same mid-range matchup that it's usually Rhinar against Bravo. Then you just you go, your lives are almost the same, and then you set up the Bloodrush below turn, and then you just go ahead, or
Hmm.
how to say. And then on the second round, I played against Usuri. It can be sometimes tricky. That's why I like to have 6 defense reactions, those
Hmm.
zero costs. It's really important to try to fully block the worst on hits in that matchup. So those
Yeah.
can really mess you up. Uh, but I still think it's favorite for Rhinar, and I was able to win that also. Uh, on the third round, I actually that was my first Lexi, and it
Oof.
was a friend of mine from Sweden. I played against, and I think I got him to 5 lives or something like that. So it
Oh.
wasn't. I just yeah, Lexi did Lexi things, but I still felt like I was in the game, so we still had a game there. But that was my only loss on day one. Fourth round, I played against Dash.
Okay.
I made a small mistake there. I thought that it will be a boost dash, but it was the tree frog
Oh.
turtle dash,
Hmm.
and sync pillows and fate forces aren't that good against that
No, they're
specific
not.
list. And then I was maybe a little bit too certain that it will be boost dash, so I didn't put my remembrance in. So
Mm.
one thing that I would have done differently, I still maybe put the remembrance in because I can't be sure. I was too confident that it will be boost dash, so it
Yeah.
made the matchup a lot harder for me. But I still was able to make the big turns and get the damage into win the game. There was one really decisive spot in the game when I had quite a good read that he has a pistol item in the arsenal.
Mm.
That's maybe because I have played also Dash, so I kind of think I was inside my opponent's head that I would maybe now arsenal the pistol item and then try to play it on the next turn. So
Yeah.
I was able to command and conquer that first pistol item out,
Oof.
and basically I think
Brutal.
that won me the game. Yeah. So
Brutal.
that went really well. Then fifth and sixth round I played against Romai, and I haven't lost any games against Romai with this list. I'm in Talistar like 25-0, and in live games also only wins. This list is just Rhinar in general is really good against Roma, but I think this list is even better.
Yeah.
So I was really happy to face two Dromais there. And then round seven, I faced my first Oldhim, which I also won.
Hmm.
And round eight, the last round in day one, I was already guaranteed to get to the day two and was really excited already for that achievement.
Yeah.
Then I got faced a fight and I lost the roll there, and I thought that okay, no, I will still be in the day two and continue battling there, but somehow I was able to defeat defeat the Fi, and
Yeah.
it was a reckless wing.
Ooh,
Last 2 damage with reckless wing in a turn that he would have won the game. So
brutal.
he said that I let you 1 turn to have it if you have it.
Yeah.
Then yeah, and yeah, I was happy
Yeah.
that I got it, and then because Fi and Lexi are maybe the two hardest matchups for
Yeah.
the deck. So 7-1 going to day 2.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Then day 2, my first game was against Oldhim, which I won. The second game was against Oldhim, which I actually lost. It was a really close game, and I was a little unlucky in a couple of
Mm.
scenarios there, but I don't go deeper to those. That I was also pretty lucky in some other some other games, so
Yeah.
that
What can
always
you do?
can be that. But it was a really close game. I lost to Pummel actually. Uh, he had Pummel in Arsenal, and I thought that he don't have Pummel there,
Yeah.
but but anyway, I lost that. Then I faced one more Oldhim, which I won. And maybe about these Oldhims, because there was 4 of them in total in the Swiss that I played against.
Hmm.
They were using different equipments against me, so
Yeah.
maybe they didn't know. Some of them maybe knew what they want to do against me, and some of them didn't. So one of them were using this ice shield, and if opponent has this ice shield, then you have to be careful with your blood rush turns. You
Yep.
just be sure that you have enough energy to come over that one frostbite.
Yep.
Then one of them was using the other shield, which always means that they are trying to fatigue you. Then
Yep.
also you have to be careful with your blood rush turns to make as much damage as possible. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter if they hit you back something against that build. But 2 of them were using Anothos, and they basically tried to raise me, and then
Yeah.
you have to play a little differently.
Yeah.
But yeah,
A lot of
uh,
flexibility in Oldhim these days. There's a lot of different lists running around.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was playing in the camera in the round 12 against Usuri, which I was able to win, and last round was against Azalea. It was a really close game. I thought that I'm pretty much 100% sure to win it, but then I got a hand with a sink pillow and 3 wild rides, and then he attacked me with Ravenous Rabble. I blocked. I used Sink to get another block to the second attack, and then I put Wild Ride away and got Pulping. And then he hit me 10 with non-dominated arrow. And I went to one life.
Oh,
And
so
uh,
close.
yeah, and then I win with Pulping on the next turn. So it was
Wow.
crazy close game.
Wow.
But and after that game, I have been thinking if I should play one less non-blocks, but we can go to that later when we check the deck lists
Okay.
deck list there. But yeah, that there and the other in the top 8, I lost to Lexi. So basically 2 losses to Lexi, 1 to Oldhim. And if you think about these 3 big decks in the tournament, I went 3-1 Oldhim, 2-0 Dromai, and 0-2 Lexi. So I was still only, if you think about those matchups, I was in a good record, and I went 6-0 all the rest of the decks. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like you, the field that you ran into is like exactly why you would bring Rhinar to a tournament like that, right? You hit a lot of
yeah,
mid-range decks that you can beat. You hit 2, Dromais and Oldhims that you can beat, and then you
yeah.
just hopefully don't run into like 6 Lexis, So
Yeah. If you run into 6 Lexis, you have to be really lucky to
yeah,
do it, and yeah, and sometimes you do, and that's
that's
that
true.
that's game name of the
That's just
game.
tournament luck. Sometimes it happens,
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't.
Yes.
Okay, so we have your list in front of us, and everybody
Yeah.
at home, I'll put this in the description below. He's even gone as far as to build us out some nice packages. So right now we're going to be starting with like the Bravio, Levia, Zuri, like this mid-range package. So you want to run us through your decision making here?
Yeah, so this is quite quite basic Rhinar build. Maybe there is 17 blues. I play the Intimidate blues, then of course the Wrecker ramp because you need all the sixes you can get, and then two Reckless Wings. I think 17 blues is it's the correct number to play Bloodrush Bellow Rhinar. You need the blue in the Bloodrush Bellow turn, but you don't want to drop too many of them. And I play 6 defense reactions there, so maybe in the former metas there have been less defense reactions, and of course those are a little bit clunky when you drop them from Bloodrush Bellow.
Mm.
But in the current meta, there is still Bravo and Usuri around, and of course those are also for the I keep them in the Aggro matchup as well. But yeah, Command and Conquer only non-brute attack, but of course it's just crazy good card. Blocks
Yeah, it
3.
is. Yeah.
Sometimes um, in the meta there is rangers that are really always trying to have a card in the arsenal, and then against aggro matchups also you can pivot with that card because they really have to block it. But it's also in this mid-range version. Sometimes I also against Usuri many times wants to put a maybe combat trick in the arsenal or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, and it's just a generic good card.
Yeah.
Then I play these Skull Cracks. Um, this is a kind of silly card because it doesn't look that great, but I think it does everything good enough. So it's good if you discard it. It is good to attack with it, and
Yeah.
it's good to block with it. And sometimes you have to block and you don't have the 5-card privilege to start the Bloodrush Bellow turn. So maybe you can set up it in a way that you have maybe Bloodrush in arsenal and you leave blue and this in your hand, and then you can still go to Bloodrush Bellow and you still have 3 resources to go.
Yep.
Maybe if you have Tunic up or something like that, you can still make a lot out of 3 cards. Um, I think it's kind of the glue that keeps the deck together. It's not doing anything too specific, but I think it's still a solid good card.
Yeah, I agree. I think my newest list started running these because I practiced with them and it was like, oh, yeah, it's a 2 for 6. And it sometimes
Yeah,
gives me a resource and it blocks 3. It's fine.
yeah, yeah.
It's like this or E
Uh,
Strike is kind of what I'm going back between.
then if we go to my yellows, there is maybe most of the yellows are the usual ones, but I started playing Backhaul. And Backhaul is basically for my because this is a hybrid list. I need backhaul to a different game plan. So
Yep.
basically, when I'm playing this mid-range glove original build, which tries to do the glove thing, Bloodrush Bellow thing, I usually try to pitch it and then attack with something else. I don't because if you block with it and you lose Bloodrush Bellow, it's a big hit. So
Yeah, it's a problem. Yeah.
if possible, I'll try to pitch it or maybe even attack with it at some
Mm-hmm.
point. And also with Crown of Providence, you can sometimes kind of sink it away. So uh, when you have your crown still up, it's much more easier to arsenal a little bit worse card. But after you have blocked with your crown, you have to be a little more careful what you put there.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes you have to put maybe yellow. What are the yellows there? Maybe yellow Smash Instinct or something like that, maybe even Yellow Reincarnate. But then you have to kind of work to get it out with the blue. So you have to take a kind of turn to not to do that big things. But because usually when you have the Blood Rush Bellow turn, it's just too expensive, this 3 mana.
Yeah.
No, not mana, resource.
Yeah.
Mana comes from the magic.
Yeah.
match. But
Yeah, you don't
yeah,
really love 3 costs in your arsenal. You don't love them.
no, no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah,
Uh, of course. So basically, only 3 cost card that I like to play is Alpha Rampage, and it of course it needs 3 cards in your hand every time you play it. Uh, but it's just good to finish the games, and then of course if you have it in your starting hand, it can
yeah.
do push damage through. Then there is this one Cadaverous Contraband. Uh, I still play it in the mid-range matchups because sometimes maybe you roll scabs and you have 2 attacks to do. You go with backpack hunt, and then then it intimidates. Then your opponent doesn't know if you intimidate them more or not, and then they maybe double block it, and then you can slip this contraband through and get the blood rush fellow back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But,
actually
but,
have
but
one in my list also right now. It's also really good in the
okay,
Dromai.
yeah, it's awesome in the drama. I even was thinking that maybe I play one blue because it does almost the same thing against drama as
Yeah,
this red one does. But I just hate blue 2 blocks. So and I thought the drama matchup is good enough, so
yeah, I
I don't
agree.
have to.
Yeah, the first Dromai I sent this out at Pro Tour. They had to like read the card because
Yeah,
because I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go get Blood Rush back, and they're like, what?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I attack your Miraga, I get blood rush back. Fair trade.
pretty good trade. Pretty
Yeah,
good trade.
and you can do it with the blue, which is
Yeah,
even more crazy. But still, I didn't want to. The matchup was so good that I didn't want to put any 2 block
yeah. I
blues
don't
in
like 2 blocks. I
in the
don't
deck.
like the idea of them.
Yeah,
Ugh. This
yeah,
even this is scary, but that's okay.
yeah. I think one is okay.
Okay, so you're
But
running pretty
yeah,
much like the standard. Okay, it's not really standard. There's a lot of different Rhinar lists, but you got 17 blues, 15 yellows, and then
yeah,
the rest red. And then you've got like a couple more D reacts, I would say.
yeah.
Um,
The older lists were playing sigils, and I really like the card, but I think I just can't afford all the defense reactions and the sigils, so I had to
mm,
cut them. And because there is so many decks now around which those on hits are so important, you rather block the attack than get the life.
makes
So
sense. Makes
yeah.
sense to me. Yeah, nothing. I mean, this is a very safe, good mid range package. I like it. Should we go into another one?
We can, yeah, we can maybe let's move to the old him maybe. It's on the bottom there. Uh, yeah, we can check this old him list. So basically, I believe that if it, I have to be prepared if Oldhim tries to fatigue me, and
Yeah.
I'm not worried if they try to raise me. And
Hmm.
with this package, we can maybe check the cards that I leave out. Maybe it's easier to do it that way. I leave out the defense reactions because I believe they are maybe trying to fatigue me, so I'm not so concerned about blocking. They are like worse Bravo if they are
Hmm.
trying to hit me. And then I take out Command and Conquest because they always get rid of their arsenal, and
Yeah.
it's only 2 for 6. Sometimes they can have clunky defense reactions, but I don't think it's enough. So I rather play all the brute attacks instead of this. And
Yeah.
then so now we can go up and see the whole list what I'm playing there. So maybe the spiciest cards that I have in my 80 card lists, I play both Wild Rides and Pulpings.
Is
And yeah,
that's spicy.
yeah. Um, and I think against Oldhim and against those aggro decks where you are basically racing, those let you hit hard, hit many times in a turn. I have even noticed that pulping sometimes you don't get to discard the 6 power card, but I'm not sure if my opponent were aware or if they just don't want to block, but they still let the pulping have a go again, and I still can continue from
Yeah.
there. And here I still play the Alpha Rampage. I want to have my six count. I mean, sorry, this is against Oldhim. I of course played against Oldhim, and then
Mm.
this. Enlightened Strikes. It's an old school card. It's not a 6 power, but I think this is. I would maybe like to play 3 of them, but because it's not a 6 power and I'm playing the Pulpings and Wild Rides, so I
Yeah, it's
have to
more
be
dangerous. Yeah.
careful with these. And I usually the way I play those, I maybe try to set up those in Arsenal, because then you can roll the scabs and you can get the go again if you get roll 2 or 3, and
Yeah,
it makes your turns when you roll the scabs much more flexible, much more
it does.
flexible.
Yeah,
And
it's drawing
yeah,
a card's really good too, right? Hit
yeah,
a
yeah,
four, draw a card. Yeah.
hit 5, 0 for 5 and draw a card. Yeah,
Yeah. It's nuts.
yeah,
0 for 5. Sometimes it even fixes your blood rush hands. Like
yeah,
it's kind of
yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have this one Remembrance. I actually didn't play Remembrance against any other hero in this tournament, but now I'm not sure if I should use it against Usuri and Dash to basically be sure that I'm not getting fatigued or run out of my blood rush bellows. But
Yeah.
I didn't play it, and I still managed to even beat the turtle dash without it. But maybe
Good.
especially against dash, you want to have that one in. But yeah, that's the deck I'm playing against Oldhim. So there
Okay.
is a lot of ways to try to double intimidate in same turn, and maybe you have to set up some Paragon beatdown Alpha Rampage turns, and then you have your big Blood Rush bellow turns. And the
Yeah.
only Oldhim game I lost was the one where they were hitting me back. So I think this build against Oldhim that tries to hit you back is pretty good at racing. So
Okay.
yeah, I was happy with the build.
All right.
Okay, then we can go to the Aggro matchups. So Fai, Briar, Viserai on the left there. So basically,
You cross strap here.
yeah, I switched to cross trap here because I need to be sure that my first blood rush bellow does enough damage.
Yeah.
So basically, in these matchups, you are not gonna win by blocking, and you have to hit them back. Fi loses in that point when Fi has to block, so you have to hit hard. So
Yeah.
there is also these wild rides and pulpings. I'm also playing these command and conquers because uh, I can. They either have to block or I get rid of their arsenal. And but this is pretty similar to the one I played against Oldhim, and actually
Mm.
against Roma I play almost the same
Yeah.
lists. So only difference is that against Roma I don't play the cross trap because it's a longer game. So I play the tunic there, and uh, this is there. It depends on your draws, but I think this can, for example, the Viserai, the test games went 3-3, so I was able to raise Viserai with this list, and
Nice.
usually you need at least one blood rush bellow to be able to raise.
Yeah,
But
you do. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty everything's kind of coming together pretty cleanly. So you don't run
Uh,
any D reacts into these aggro heroes.
no, maybe we can still. There is one thing that I want to still say about this. So against the Aggro heroes, if I'm on the draw, I take 2 Alpha Rampages out and then I play the E strikes instead. So I
Oh,
want to. So if I'm on the play, I want to be sure that I try to get as much damage through as possible. But if I'm on the draw, Enlightened Strike kind of, I'm able to swing multiple attacks in the same turn. So
that makes
so
sense.
that's a minor change I do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's all
Yep.
coming together pretty cleanly. Should we look at Lexi Azalea Katsu real quick?
Yeah. So that's the maybe the kind of spiciest thing. I switched my weapon to
Oh
club.
yeah. You got
So
Romping
that's
Club in here.
yeah. So this is the way I try to beat those rangers. So here I'm fully prepared to block a lot, even though I'm playing those non attacks. I mean
Mm-hmm.
those non-blocks. I'm fully prepared to block with almost any other cards that I have. And the plan basically here is usually block with 3 or 4 cards and swing back with the club.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you have the tunic up, you basically have blue and tunic up, and then you hope you can play, for example, pulping to romping club and hit 11 with 2 cards. And that's the reason why I'm playing the pack calls. I talked about it earlier that pack calls and fate foreseens can even set up me that I'm sure that the top card is 6. And then if I have blue and wild ride, for example, I can hit for 11 with 2 cards. So
Yeah.
I am able to raise their numbers without getting too many on hits on my face. And if you don't have those wild rides at that point, then you have to just roll the scabs. But for example, swing pick and club with
Yeah.
blue and tunic, it's still 12 with 2 cards, which is crazy good numbers. And then
Yeah.
when you have the defense reactions, which block for 4 and so on, so you can in the turn sequence you can get to quite big numbers there. And you have your scabs block for 2 and for 1, and crown blocks for 2, and in the late game even your tunic blocks for 1. So you use them carefully, but you can try to block the worst on hits with them. So basically defense reaction plus 1 block from, for example, in the scabs, you can take many of the arrows hit 5 with annoying on hit. So
Yeah.
that's how you try to do it. So in Lexi games sometimes I can even have a live lead at the beginning because those equipment blocks work so well. But after I run out of them, then I have to kind of try to get one more big turn to push damage through to make them to block and
Yeah.
at the end.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just you're going back to the days of like the switch decks, right? Like you've got club in here, then you've got mid range, and then you've got aggressive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. During your tournament, did any cards overperform? I mean, obviously Blood Rush Bellows, I think, right? But like, is there any cards in this list that you were really happy to have brought with you?
Uh, I think Savage Feast was
Yeah.
just it in the camera against Usuri. I had 2 card hand with tunic up, and the commentators were thinking, why am I rolling the scabs? I was able to get another action point, and then I played Savage Feast from tunic. I was able to get swing pick from the beast withing, and then I got a blue card to play the swing pick. So I got
It's gross.
14 damage with intimidate with only 2 cards there.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
maybe
pretty
the
good.
craziest play I did. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
Savage Feast.
of course, you always have to roll the scabs with Savage Feast. That's the tough part. But usually you want to save your gambler's gloves to that turn when you are playing this Savage Feast out, and
Yeah.
it's really it's another power turn because then you can hit you with your gloves and stuff like that later on, and like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Savage Feast
that
is a
was
really
really
good
good.
card. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah, yes.
What was any weak cards or any cards you would take out?
Um, Against Azalea, when I draw all the 3 wild rides in the same hand, it felt kind of bad. So I'm not sure if 6 is the correct number. I was testing with Bear Fangs also, so I had 7 non-blocks at some point, and I came down to these 6. But I'm don't. You always want to see one. You try to set up the game in a way that in a third turn you can play this wild ride and hit with club with your tunic. So that's the main game plan for turn 3. So you want to have, but sometimes if you get many of them in the same hand, it's pretty clunky. So I'm not sure if the numbers are right there, but
Okay.
I wouldn't change it if unless you test it a lot and find the reason that maybe 5 works better.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, the the results are in. You know, we
Mm.
proved that this list can take it all the way
Yeah.
to the end of a calling, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, looking at it, everything makes sense, right? I'm a little afraid of non-blocks myself, to be honest, but
Yeah, yeah,
everything,
yeah,
yeah, I'm not, but every other card in here it makes complete sense, right? I think for the first time in a while, brute lists are kind of homogenizing a little bit around a similar-ish set of cards, right? Um, the only, yeah, I like the club edition, right? I really like that you kind of were willing to go a little bit more into the brute side with the wild rides and the pulpings. And then I
yeah,
think Pack
yeah.
Hull's a good card. Um,
Hmm.
I think most people who play with it, one time it banishes your Blood Rush Bellows, and you remember that moment for the rest of your life. But it's way more likely to put a non Blood Rush down than it is to put a Blood Rush down. And it
Yeah, and
synergizes
you
with
still
Pulping.
you still need the 6 attacks in the blood rush turn. So
Yeah, it's way more likely. Okay.
mhm.
Anything else you wanted to mention or bring up before we sign off?
Um, I think you added my Twitter account and Instagram there. I haven't been maybe that active there, but I try to be more active in the future. I'm a brewer myself. 3 years ago, I was playing Magic with my own deck list in Brussels, and I also top edit there. So
Ooh.
the content I'm maybe trying to create there is maybe some deck decks and stuff like that. So if you are interested about different kind of decks and different kind of ways of thinking, so but please follow me, and I try to do as much content there as I can. So haven't been that active lately, but you can find me in Twitter and Instagram.
Okay, I'll put all of his social medias in the link below in the description below, and you saw them wiggling across the screen on the first part of this video. So go give him a follow, like all his stuff, give him a hug. um, okay, well, thank you so much, Ollie, for taking us through your list today. It's a
Yeah, thank you.
really fun to see Rhinar doing well in an event. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a
Bye.
great day.
Bye.